with racket and a lot of heart. You know, a lot of, I guess, management of the nerves and the extreme tension that you feel in this kind of matches. You know, towards the end, really anybody.
Under lights that had watched 100 battles, center court held its breath one more time. The day had already given tennis everything it could ask for. Quarterfinal fire on both sides of the draw, but nothing would compare to what unfolded when a 39-year-old man walked out to face a hungry 20-something with something to prove. Novak Djokovic, 7-time champion of this hallowed lawn. A man who had already rewritten the record books more times than anyone could count. And across the net, Félix Auger-Aliassime, the Canadian who had spent years knocking on the door of greatness, never quite pushing it open. Today, he came with a battering ram. From the very first ball, you could feel it. This wasn't going to be a coronation. This was going to be a war. Auger-Aliassime came out swinging like a man who had nothing to lose and everything to gain. His serve cracked the air. 29 aces by the time it was all over, a number that would flatten most legends. His forehand carved winners into corners that shouldn't have existed. 74 winners in total. This was not a man playing not to lose. This was a man playing to make history. And Djokovic, the old lion, the greatest of all time by so many measures, had to dig from somewhere deep, somewhere most players don't even know exists. The first set slipped into a tiebreak, and it became an instant classic, stretching all the way to 10 points aside before Djokovic finally clawed it away. A survival. A warning shot that this would not be easy. But Auger-Aliassime answered. He took the second set, leveling the match, and suddenly 30,000 people who came expecting a Djokovic procession were witnessing something far more dangerous, genuine uncertainty. Djokovic responded the way champions do. He seized the third set, pulling the match back in his favor, looking every bit like the man who has broken hearts on this very court for 2 decades. Then came the moment that made the entire stadium go still. Djokovic, mid-rally, planted his foot awkwardly. He winced. He reached down toward his calf. The trainer was called. He walked gingerly, testing the leg like a man checking if a bridge would hold his weight. 39 years old, 5 hours into a battle, and his body was sending him a message he didn't want to hear. Any lesser competitor might have folded right there. Auger-Aliassime smelled it. He pushed, he pressed, he forced a fourth-set tiebreak, and he took it. Sudden death. Winner takes all. A fifth set for a place in the semifinal, with a wounded champion standing on one good leg and a challenger sensing the biggest win of his life within reach. This was the moment the entire tournament had been building toward, whether anyone knew it or not. The fifth set became a heavyweight bout blow for blow, neither man giving an inch. The crowd, sensing the weight of it, began to chant his name, Novak, 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 the kind of chorus that this court hasn't always offered him freely over the years, but tonight it was full-throated and thunderous. Even the umpire had to step in and ask for quiet, just so the players could hear themselves think. Serve after serve, point after point. The scoreboard barely moved, and the tension only grew. Somewhere in the match, the total points won had become a mirror image of each other, 178 apiece. Not a single edge, not a single crack, just 2 men refusing to let go. And then, at 6 games apiece, Djokovic, the leg heavy, the fatigue written across his face, faced a break point that could have ended his tournament right there. He responded with an ace blistering up the middle, a serve that seemed to say, I am not done yet. The set went to a decisive tiebreaker. A winner-take-all sprint to the finish line for everything. The temperature in that stadium was unlike anything witnessed all fortnight. This was pure theater, pure sport, pure human drama distilled into a handful of points. Djokovic opened with something delicate, a feather touch drop shot that died on the grass before Auger-Aliassime could even move. 1-0, a statement of calm amid chaos. Auger-Aliassime answered with brute force, but a backhand betrayed him, sailing wide, handing Djokovic a mini break. 2-1. Then Djokovic found the corner with a serve blistering up the tee, consolidating his advantage. 3-1. The old champion was refusing to blink. Auger-Aliassime clawed back, closing the gap, and for a moment it felt as though the entire match could swing on a single shot, a single decision, a single flicker of nerve. Then Djokovic reached for the biggest forehand of his night, a rocket down the line that Auger-Aliassime could only watch sail past him. Match point, and he buried it. Center court exploded, arms outstretched, soaking in a wave of noise that had once felt reserved for other players. Djokovic turned to his box and broke into the little victory dance he has practiced, the one he saves for his children watching at home. In that instant, all the aches, all the doubts, all the years seemed to fall away, replaced by pure, uncomplicated joy. 5 hours and more on court. 5 sets of the highest quality. A match that could have gone either way at every single turn, decided in the end by fractions of an inch and reserves of will that most humans simply do not possess. When the microphone reached him, Djokovic had barely anything left to give. "I don't have a lot of energy left," he admitted, almost laughing at himself. And when reminded of the history he had just made, surpassing Roger Federer's own Wimbledon semifinal streak, he waved it off with the calm of a man who has heard every superlative there is. "That's great, but it's just another semifinal for me. I'll look at all the numbers at the end of my career. Right now, it's all business." But make no mistake, what happened on that court was not just business. It was survival. It was defiance. It was a 39-year-old body refusing to obey the calendar, refusing to accept that its time was over. With racket and a lot of heart, he said, when asked how he had done it. Management of the nerves and the extreme tension you feel in these matches. Towards the end, it is anyone's game. For Auger-Aliassime, the pain of coming so close will linger. But the promise revealed in those 5 sets, the fight he showed against the greatest player of his generation, marks him as a man on the rise, whatever happens next. And for Djokovic, the path now leads to Jannik Sinner, the world #1, in a semifinal that pits the game's brightest young star against a man who simply will not fade. A quest for an 8th Wimbledon title. A chase for a 25th Grand Slam that would stand alone in the history of the sport. The old lion is still hunting, and on this night under these lights, in front of this deafening crowd, he proved once again that counting him out is still and always will be a mistake.